let's talk about the furry comic Angel in the Forest. In it, we are met with an endless, biting winter. All the humans of the world are gone, and a generation has gone by since the last one was seen. The animals of the forest are desperate, cold, and always on the verge of starvation. It's hard to know who to trust, who to share food with, and who won't stab you in the back. The two main species are mice and bats. Bats have apparently evolved to be able to consume meat instead of just fruits, seeds, and bugs because they hunt and eat mice with practiced ease. You see a bat, you run. You see a mouse, it's dinner time. A bat takes down a mouse in the snow and, instead of eating him, takes him to a tree on an island in the middle of the freezing cold river. There, he makes him take care of a baby mouse for reasons unknown. Maybe he just wants to fatten the baby up with good care so he can eat her later. After all, why have a snack now when you can have a feast later? But over time, it becomes clear that he's not going to eat either of them. His name is Montimer, and he has a bad habit of saving mice instead of eating them. It's made him skinny and weak and frail compared to other bats, but he does his best to provide for both of them as the days tick on. He brings food back to the tree as often as he can, always away and standoffish from the two mice that he has captured. The mouse he kidnapped is named Larry, and in a stunning case of Stockholm Syndrome, tries to befriend Montimer and understand him. Why would a bat act this way? But the winter is getting colder, food is getting scarcer, and the predators out there are getting more and more desperate. Welcome to the world of Angel in the Forest, an endless winter of desperation, suffering, and melancholy. No joke, if you're not ready for some sad feels, this is not the comic for you. While a lot of furry comics go for cute or sexy or slice-of-life comedy, Angel in the Forest is all about survival, betrayal. It is a bat-eat-rat world out there, and with even more predators to come. It is the harshest of climates where everyone is desperate, no one is your friend, and if you can't be useful to those around you, you're going to be turned out into the snow. With the humans gone, animal societies are slowly forming with pretty clear lines between predator and prey. As in, the prey animals hide and create little villages and towns, and the predators live in more stark conditions, always seeking them out. The animals are all to scale, as they are in real life, mice and bats being tiny, foxes being bigger. Wolves are by far the biggest animal in the forest, towering over little towns and settlements like kaiju. They're terrifying. But there's some confusion going on in terms of world building here. Sometimes the animals wear clothes, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they use currency and even have jobs. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have tools, metal weapons, and even well-defined governing bodies. Sometimes they don't. The comic veers wildly between what is basically animals that can talk into medieval-level technology depending on the species, location, and point in the story. It's very hard to pinpoint any sort of pattern or logic, but the world is a big place, so maybe animals are just more civilized outside the forest, I don't know. The comic also suffers from what I like to call talking head syndrome, in which entire pages will be devoted to two characters talking, so it's just the same two faces from the neck up, with literally nothing else going on in the background, and nothing else to look at. And when you have a lot of characters that look alike, well, it can be a little confusing. The muted colors, lack of clothing sometimes, and no detailed faces can make a lot of the Bat characters look exactly alike. I really struggled to remember who was who in some of these conversations. Anyway, with winter getting worse and worse, Mortimer and Larry must take the baby mouse and go elsewhere to look for food and shelter. The forest has nothing left to give, and it's a big world out there. Their slowly blossoming friendship takes its sweet time to develop, as it should given the circumstances, and now that they're not confined to the island tree, it can feel a little more justified and a little less, Stockholm Syndrome-y. Larry and the baby mouse can leave if they want to, but choose to stay together even after finding other mice in tiny towns and burrows. The baby mouse doesn't know any better, referring to Mortimer as the angel of the forest, since he is the one who pulled both of them out of the snow and gave them food to survive. And it's just as adorable and ice heart melting as you might imagine. Angel in the Forest really goes out of its way to show love, affection, and friendship as a tiny flame of warmth in this harsh and cruel setting. Everyone has their own tiny speck of warmth, and the only way to make it grow any bigger or any warmer is to gather others around yourself. Children that rely on you, friends that honor you, and family that don't betray you for rank or status. It's a good message, really hammering home the idea that no one survives alone. Well, you might survive, but you'll never thrive. I suppose that's the message. Even if you have to cobble together a seemingly random group of animals into a tiny circle of sad backstories and misery, at least you have each other. At least you can rely on each other and count on each other. While certainly not a happy story, the comic paints a very mature picture about love despite the odds, family or lack thereof, survival, and valuing what you have, no matter how little you have. Should you read Angel in the Forest? It is finished. You can read it from start to finish if you want. Again, if you're ready to be sad or melancholy for a few hours after doing so, I'd say yes. There is a sequel, but it's in progress, so your mileage may vary. I'm just talking about this one right now. So I'd say approach with caution, not a happy story, but you know what? If a piece of fiction can make you feel something, for good or for ill, doesn't that speak highly of the author's talent to weave a good, meaningful story? I'd say it does. Check it out.